filthy, disgusting hands have touched those bridges before you. So I don't think you really want to touch those bridges, okay? Besides the dragons on the tower, clearly looking very cool, they also kind of serve a purpose. It was said that if you put a dragon on your roof, it's going to protect your building from fire. And that sounds like hocus pocus. But the big irony is that next to it, behind us, we have Christiansborg Palace. That has 0 dragons on top, and it's burnt down twice. In the meantime, Dresden has been here since the Renaissance with 4 dragons on top, and it's never even caught fire. So it has been tried and tested, guys. Get a dragon on your roof. Oh, hi! Please wave at my friend Sina in the pink cap over there. Hi, Sina! Next bridge is coming up, guys. So remain seated, please, as you're doing now. Looks amazing. Thank you.
그래서 지붕에다가 용.
And the next building I would like you to notice is coming up on our right, and it has some beautiful green doors and arches. And this is a warehouse, and the king who commissioned that warehouse said, the most important thing about this warehouse is that my view of it from Christiansborg Palace, where I live, has to look absolutely stunning. He didn't give many rat's bottoms what the backside looked like, because he didn't have to see it from where he lived. So first, appreciate the beautiful front side of this building. It's got arches, it's got an affluence of windows, it's got symmetry, it's got details, it's got everything you could possibly want. Wow, wow, wow. It looks a little bit like they just ran out of money halfway through the project and couldn't afford finishing off the back nicely. Which may actually have been what happened if we think about how it was commissioned. I have nobody to kiss, as you know, so I better see it from someone else. I'll start counting down soon. 3, 2, 1, kiss! Kiss! Start kissing people! Kiss! More kisses! Come on, keep it rolling! More kisses! Yes! More kisses, please! For Pete's sake, kiss! 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 Alright, cut! On our left, we now have a glimpse into Nyhavn. That was established to create a better connection between the King's New Square at the end of it, and then the sea out here. It's also where our, the author of The Little Mermaid, Hans Christian Andersen, lived for 20 years of his life. Also on our left there is a very modern looking building, and this is the Royal Danish Playhouse. It's designed by an architect duo called Lundgaard and Tranbjerg, and it opened in 2008 with a production of Shakespeare's Hamlet. Why? Because something is rotten in the state of Denmark, of course. That is a quote from Hamlet, guys. Okay, never mind. On our right, there are some very new buildings still in the making. But the island they're on is a very old man-made island, and it's called the Paper Island. Because back in the days when we had a bunch of printing presses and newspapers in Copenhagen, we needed somewhere to store all the paper for it. So the island was devoted to the storage of paper for the printing presses, therefore the Paper Island. And nowadays the buildings are turning into luxury apartments. Those will have the most expensive square meters in all of Denmark. So even though I get to see these buildings from the outside every single day, it is highly unlikely that I will ever get to see those from the inside. Unless I get a sugar daddy, of course, and I am already working on this, guys, so you can totally relax, okay? Chill out. And we are now sailing into an area called Hutland. That used to be the Navy's base in Copenhagen, but in later years this is also where some creative educational institutions have moved in. So now this is also where you will find the Royal Danish Academy of Architecture and Design, the Music Conservatory, and also the Film School. And there are certain stretches within Hutland.
Poker pršíš. A ty dovolenou. Když počkej, já to drž, vždycky je pomáhat. Další to. Plavil jsi sám v Kopenhageně. Ano, plavil jsi sám v Kopenhageně po...
Natočiť prvého plavca v mori.
Hej. No, skoč tam, skoč. Ideš.
On our left, we have now the torpedo holes, and these were built for the Cold War, so we could create and repair torpedo ships in the middle. So you'll notice once you sail past the building, you can actually still sail inside the middle of the building. This is a good example of how we try to preserve architecture in Copenhagen. Instead of tearing down and building new, we try to find new purposes for old buildings, and these have clearly been turned into apartments.
Odpadně. No.
And the wooden buildings on our left are the gunboat sheds of Copenhagen. These were built in the beginning of the 19th century. And the gunboats were actually our best defense strategy against the Brits in a battle where they had entirely smashed the rest of our military. Remaining, we had the gunboat sheds with gunpowder and cannonballs inside. And out front, we would have a gunboat with a loaded cannon on top. So we were ready in case of attack. And these buildings are now protected buildings, part of Denmark's national heritage, but they are still in use as commercial offices. And to our right, we are passing the backside of the free town called Christiania. There was a military base there for a long time, but then in the 70s, there was a bunch of hippies that couldn't find a place to live. And they just moved out there, and they stuck around for so long, it turned into a little city within the city of Copenhagen. In there, they have their own rules, their own garbage disposal system, their own kindergarten. They even have their own currency. And you can easily visit Christiania if you like. It's also open to the public, and they take Danish kroner too, but you're not allowed to take photos inside of most of Christiania. And further in the distance, on our right, there is a funny-looking building with a smoking chimney on top. And that is a new building, a new addition to the Copenhagen skyline. It's called Copenhagen. And Copenhagen is actually a very modern, very sustainable waste-to-energy plant. Doesn't sound that exciting, but it also has other elements. So on the side of Copenhagen, we have Europe's tallest climbing wall. On top, there are hiking trails and a cafe. And cherry on top of the cake, they also casually dumped an artificial ski slope on top of it. So you can actually walk all the way up Copenhagen, rent skis at the top, and then ski your way down it if you like. It's designed by the Danish architect called Bjarke Ingels, who is quite known for having a playful approach to architecture. And just behind the trees on our right is the location of the best restaurant in the whole world called Noma. Maybe some of you have heard of it. Noma has been abroad for quite a while. They've been doing a pop-up restaurant in Japan for several months, but now they are back and up and running here in Copenhagen. And this week, after the next bridge on our right, we have parked the Danish naval school ship called Geostage. Very beautiful old ship with, it's wooden, there's all masts on it, lots of sailors in training on there too. Maybe some of them are single, I should ask, actually. Okay, cool old wooden ship on our right, with some sailors on it. On our left, there are also some very cool old buildings, and these used to belong and used by the Navy for a long time, but in the early 2000s, this is where the Royal Academy of Architecture and Design moved in. And that is also where I studied my bachelor's and my master's in fashion design. So I sat in that yellow building right there, working very hard night and day for 5 years straight to get my diploma. And then I became a tour guide. Dreams do come true, people. Life is like a box of chocolates.
Ona. Aha, a teraz o tym.
And next on our left, we get a quick glimpse of the side of Copenhagen's Opera House. This is designed by a guy called Henning Larsen, and it opened in 2005. And the internal structure of the Opera House is supposed to mimic the structure of an anatomical heart. The walls inside are also clad in maple wood, varnished like string instruments. And this is, of course, to symbolize the love of music that takes place within the building. And the Opera House has 14 stories all in all, 5 of which are below water level. So, if you are sitting in the main auditorium watching the opera, you can actually brag to your friends, you are watching an underwater opera! Which sounds way cooler than it actually is, but your friends will not know that. So say it.
No. Aha.
If we look on our right, up on the left, there is a black submarine, and that is the Seal. And the Seal had its last activities in water during the Iraq War in 2003. Here it helped impose a weapons embargo on the country of Iraq. And nowadays the Seal has retired from sailing, but it does still function as a museum. So if you have ever wondered what on earth the inside of a submarine looks like, you can visit the Seal and find out.
Ale ja som písala tú drevenú loďku. Staré prekladový, to tam je.
Also on our right, slightly in front of us, there is a military-looking ship. It says F352 on the side of it, and that is a frigate called Pillerskram that served during the Cold War from 66 to 88. But within Denmark, Pillerskram is maybe more famous for an accident that happened here in the 80s. One day, the captain was out sailing the ship, and then during a drill, he pressed the wrong button. And this wrong button launched a missile. And the missile went flying into an area in Western Zealand full of summer houses. And it ended up damaging a total of 134 summer houses, 4 of which were completely ruined. Thankfully, nobody got hurt during this. It was winter, so no one was at their summer house. But the Danish media did name the missile the Whoopsie missile because of it. Rumors also had it at the time that one of the summer houses belonged to the mother-in-law of the captain. So one may wonder how much of it was accidental and how much of it was very much intended. But I have to stress that is just a rumor. It was never confirmed. Very little landmark for you to see. But it is coming up on our right-hand side. It's after we've passed this wooden dock here, and it's half woman, half fish, and 100% statue. And it is, of course, our Little Mermaid coming up on our right-hand side. Woo! Yeah! Yay! There she is. And from the boat you are lucky enough to get a really rare glimpse of her beautiful backside. If you want a front side too, then hold on to your ticket. It will give you a discount to our bus tours. And those take you past the front. The statue was originally commissioned by Carl Jacobsen, who was one of the founders of Carlsberg. Probably the best beer in the world, am I right? Yes, I am. He was very enchanted with the character after seeing the ballet performance of the fairy tale, and then he asked the sculptor Edvard Eriksen to make the statue. And originally they wanted the ballerina from the performance to model for this statue. But she wasn't that willing to take all her clothes off and be eternalized. So what do you do when the pretty ballerina won't take her clothes off for you? You ask your wife instead, of course. So it ended up being the wife of Edvard Eriksen, the sculptor, who has posed for the statue instead. I guess you take what you can get, right? And our little mermaid has had a pretty rough life, actually. She has had her head chopped off twice, her arm cut off once, and then she quite frequently has paint spattered on her too. One of the times she lost the head, it was never ever found again. And it always makes me think that somewhere out there is a very sketchy art collector who in his private wine cellar downstairs in his basement on display has the head of the Little Mermaid. But that is just my personal conspiracy theory, so don't take it too seriously. Every single time stuff like this happens, someone makes sure to fix her up and get her back on that rock so she's ready again to greet everybody coming to wonderful Copenhagen. It wouldn't really be wonderful without her, would it? Coming up next, there are two small pavilions. These are the royal pavilions where the royal family and their guests sit and wait when they need to board the royal ship called Denmark. There's one pavilion with a crown on top and one with an onion on top. It is, of course, the royal family who sits inside the crown pavilion. And in the meantime, the rest of us, common people like you and me, the peasants, get to sit inside the one with the onion on top. Yay! It's a logo that's going along the fence, and the blue color in that logo, Maersk decided to trademark. So now Maersk owns a shade of blue, and if you want to use that color, you need to ask Maersk permission first, and then pay them a bunch of money. And next on our right, there are three big old warehouses from back when we had our colonies around the world. And the first red brick one is where we kept all the best stuff from the West Indies. We had rum, tobacco, sugar and coffee in there, so anything for a legal addiction really. And now it's the royal cast collection. That's why you can see a few statues looking out at us through the windows. And of course a statue of David out front too. The warehouse in the middle is where we kept stuff from Greenland, and the last red warehouse, which for no apparent reason is called the blue warehouse, is where we kept stuff from the Golden Coast of Africa. And those two buildings have now become commercial offices and apartments. And next on our right, there are some very posh looking buildings with black glazed roofs and chimneys. And that is Amalienborg Palace. That is where our royal family lives most of the year. And these buildings were originally made as mansions for noble families. That's why it doesn't really look like a proper royal castle. The two buildings close to us, on the left is where Queen Margaret lives, on the right is where our crown prince and his family lives. And when the flags are up above those buildings, it means they're home. So right now we can actually see that nobody is home at Amalienborg Palace right now. Perfect time for a royal heist. In the middle of Amalienborg there's also a square. This is where you can see the change of the royal guards every day at noon. And the beautiful backdrop to Amalienborg Palace is our marble church.
No, mira.
Hello everyone. I'll get down to you guys in the back later if you can't hear me first time around. But coming up on our left, there is a very funny looking church tower. And that is our Saviour's Church Tower from the late Renaissance. It has an external spiral staircase going all the way up it with 400 steps. And it is still accessible to the public. So if you want a really cool view of Copenhagen from above, that is a very fun way to get that.
Nebude daj hore. Fakt sa tam daj hore? Naozaj? Ale tam sú ľudia.
아니. 왼손. 300 괜찮아.
Tam sa dá ísť na tú väžu? To je halus. Zvonka na veži. Zážitok taký v živote už nebudeš mať.
아니 이건 지금 여기까지. 대단한 기술이네.
There we go, coming up on our left. You can see some people making their way up it and across it. And if you're not fast enough with your camera, you will get a picture of the most photographed tree in all of Copenhagen. So you better be quick.
Potom, keď ste to nestihli, tak máte na najfotografickejší strom v Kopenhagenu.
Hej, 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 hej.
Did you get the tree?
Nie, len som.
No church, because he was ready.
And now the next very low bridge is coming up, so please remain seated. Thank you. Keep waving, but do remain seated.
지금 제일 낮은 다리를 제일이야. 제일 좀.
Alright, remain seated please. Low bridge coming up. There is a giant green washing machine coming up in front of us on our left. And that is made for the Architect Expo this year, and it's supposed to put a focus on greenwashing within architecture. And to our right in front of us, we have blocks. And it's not so difficult to guess what blocks was inspired by, I think. And inside it, it has, among other things, the Danish Architecture Center, as well as a gym, a playground, open desk offices, a creative hub, a few different things. They made blocks because this area in Copenhagen was quite dead. So to create more life and community, they built blocks. And it kind of worked. And it's designed by a Dutch architect studio called Oma.
Okay.
And I think they're having a tango class outside of blocks right now. We do have the next bridge coming up, so remain seated please. Thank you.